So I'm Erin Hayden, and I went to school after Harold was an instructor there, and I was an intern for their kind of showroom gallery at is called, I guess, Harold Gregor Gallery, and worked with Harold and Marlene, helping to document his work and welcome people to the gallery, and it was a real fun time. I learned a lot about his practice, and every morning, every Saturday morning, I'd go and Harold would come up and we would talk about painting and talk about landscape and color, and yeah, it was a really special time to learn and get to know him and talk. So I'm from Naperville, Illinois, and I went to Illinois State in 2008, and then I went to graduate school at Northwestern University. You know, I remember before working for Harold, some people in town would be like, "Oh, you're working for Harold, how is that?" You know, and I was like, "Oh no, it's really wonderful, it's great." And so it was, he was just like so kind and, you know, very, you know, I would say just cared very deeply about painting and just color and just visual language. And so I don't know, from my perspective, it just sort of all stemmed from that, and the seriousness that maybe others would, or sternness that others would like talk about. I think it all stemmed through this real passion for art making, and like it and I know that Marlene would say that, like, you know, he would really want if people to like push through with their talent and not waste it, right? So then so I think that that's where like that sternness sort of came from. But we shared coffee and would talk about painting. I'd show him my work on my phone, and he'd kind of like try and like look at it and put his thumb on one part of the color of it, and be like, "Well, look how that changes," and then it would like shift to a different image. but it was really wonderful to just get to see and hear his perspective on like how you can really change a whole painting by one small shift in color. And yeah, it was actually kind of felt a lot like Marlene and Harold were like family. We would sometimes go out to lunch after the gallery, and one time we went out to lunch and he gave me a whole packet of like the English watercolor method, and like wanting to share with me all of his teaching, and that felt very special. And so yeah, it was definitely a different relationship, which I cherished. It felt really nice to learn from him and talk to him at that time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a moment when Harold needed some help in the studio. He was making at the time these golf landscape paintings, and it was really interesting the way in which he worked smaller with watercolor, and then would like, you know, kind of choose the best of those to decide like, oh no, this is going to be a large scale piece. And so he would set up a projector and have, he had me like kind of pencil in the sort of outline of his painting. And actually that was, I never really thought about it till now, but that really was the beginning of me even thinking about that mode of working, because now I use the projector all the time with my work, and in different ways, like projecting images onto my paintings. But yeah, and so yeah, it was just sort of like setting the groundwork for Harold to like put his like mastery onto that. And like sometimes I think I also did like maybe some washes to like set the ground for it, and then he went back in with the detail. Yeah, that was really an interesting way. And I'm also thinking about that too now with my work, actually literally making smaller watercolors and seeing what will happen from that. But yeah, that was interesting. That was when Illinois State, it was through the Alumni Association, they wanted Harold to talk about his practice. And he was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that again, you know. So then him and Marlene had this idea that, oh, like it would be great for both of us to talk. And then so for a couple weeks we were preparing together about, okay, so how do we do this, and what sort of should we talk about? And he and I were like, oh, well, like, he was like, well, it's the old and the new, and like bringing together the two and sort of seeing how he and his sort of trajectory in painting, and just living and making, being a creative person. And he was talking about back in Detroit and designing like cars, and it was just really cool to kind of see his trajectory of art making and blending those two things together. Yeah, I was honored to sort of banter with each other in this presentation together, and it was really a fun time. Yeah, I guess what I'm doing now is I live in the Chicagoland area. I live in Oak Park, and I am a artist, making things, making paintings, and I also do performances and poetry and make video, and yeah, I don't know, that's what I'm doing now. I'm also working for a different artist, and working for Illinois State still for with the recruitment. I'm a recruitment coordinator for Illinois State, so I talk with students about how great an experience it was to be here. So it was great.